Are we going to review then?
Yeah.
Review. This is a review.
This is a 3-star review.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 stars on the cover.
Is there?
Yeah.
I hadn't looked. Let me have a look.
On the cover I'm looking at anyway.
I suppose what the problem with this is it when we don't buy the album and we just listen to it on Spotify, is that it ruins your preferences.
Yeah.
All the bizarre things
we do Secret Santa with Sarah's family, and I put a book on mine. It was a Go programming book.
Yeah.
And she says, "I'm getting some very strange suggestions on my Amazon feed, Sam." Sarah's sister bought it. But yeah.
So yeah, let's review this then. Mighty Garvey by Manfred Mann. So this is our 3rd British invasion band. I don't think this was, we picked the wrong bands or something. It just didn't work, did it? Just like so many of these bands, they started out as an R&B thing, and they had a real good pop R&B. It's very accessible poppy, but really, really proper R&B kind of thing. And then they slowly moved into pop. This is their last album. It's not Paul Jones, who literally became too famous to be in the band, and I think tried to be a movie star or something. It's nowhere near as good as I expected. But it is interesting. It's 68. And by 68 there was like a separation between rock and pop, and they were struggling because they were considered too pop. And the stuff on there, there's one called Every Day Another Hair Turns Grey. Even that phrase actually, but it's very Strawberry Fields. She's Leaving Home. Obvious references to Sgt. Pepper. It shows how fast things have moved in that it's only 68, it's only a year later. But doing that was very old hat. So it is kind of. Is it a parody of Sgt. Pepper? It's not. Well, it's not. Parody is the wrong word, but it is a rip-off of Sgt. Pepper. It is an attempt to do that kind of thing because that will sell, won't it? And it. To even compare it is ridiculous, really, because it just sounds like 60s pop songs. There is kind of an ironic, knowing element to it. Are they kind of doing Sgt. Pepper? They're not doing We're Only In It For The Money. It's not Zappa. That's ridiculous. This is knowing light pop. So, it's okay. It's ironic. It just means you like the light pop. Like Divine Comedy. It is relatively diverse. You've got the obligatory lounge jazz song on there to make it diverse. But the scatting on there sounds like they've been watching Jungle Book. It is much more complete and well crafted than the Yardbirds, but it did strike me that how much it sounds like the Yardbirds. It's that kind of thing. It's much the same, very competent, very well crafted. Cashing in on Sgt. Pepper, maybe. There's no Day in the Life on there, nothing like that. These are silly little songs, and they do have that nice R&B thing which the Beatles don't have, so it is enjoyable. So yeah, it's their last album, and it's there, and it has Mighty Quinn on it.
Was this the first release of Mighty Quinn, or had this already been?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Released? No,
I wonder if Mighty Quinn was already a single before this, because it's a really famous song.
Yeah, it's very famous, and I noticed as well. Listening up until the Mighty Quinn, I thought actually, you said it's very well recorded. And I thought it sounded a bit boxy, like it was recorded in a box. It didn't sound that.
Oh, still the engineering, It just says,
and then Mighty Quinn comes on, and suddenly, hang on, I can hear this. This is quite clear, almost as if it was like
from another,
already recorded or from something else. Like, very difficult to find anything interesting to say about this, Kev.
Yeah,
It's sort of, it's nice. I do get a sense of optimism in the world of music at this point. People feel that they can do anything and put it on an album, and have it sell a certain amount, which probably does feed into prog. So prog's very experimental, and you can only do that kind of stuff if the market can support it, you know.
Yeah.
So it does, you know, it probably help people realise actually there's more we can do here. But I mean, it's not. It doesn't seem, in retrospect, it doesn't, you know, stand out as a standard bearer for the era to me. What's the thing with Happy Families? Why are there three different songs called Happy Families on the album?
Well, it's like Sgt. Pepper, isn't it? That's Eddie Fingers Garvey.
Right.
Is the imaginary guy. But it's like
Right,
they couldn't be arsed. They sort of half did it, as if it's almost like the record company said, you've got to make your Sgt. Pepper do it like that.
Yeah, do a bit of that, please. I mean, it's all right. I mean, the songs I quite like some of the songs. Don't know which ones they are. I suppose It's So Easy Falling was quite nice. The Vicar's Daughter was quite good in the sense that it was a bit like, not really provocative in a sense, but it's like that innocence bordering on the thing of adulthood going on, which felt quite almost Beatles-esque, I suppose. Not much really to say that stands out to say, okay, this is why Manfred Mann are remembered, apart from the Mighty Quinn.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's so of its time, and it turns out actually it wasn't of its time. It was old hat because things were moving so fast. This was, you know, they were far too late with doing this, and it is what it is. Sounds like Manfred Mann. It's another one of them.
Is anyone gonna say, "Oh, I haven't listened to Mighty Garvey in a few years. Let's put that on"?
It doesn't even really feel like an album.
No.
Even though it is a sort of tongue-in-cheek version of an album. It's not. There's nothing there. It's not really there. It's just some songs.
Yeah.
You know, whenever anyone mentions Manfred Mann, you know what I think of? I think of Short Circuit 2? Is it Short Circuit 2 or 1?
Yeah.
You know when they're locked in the fridge?
Yeah. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
Yeah. And then...
downtown.
Yeah, on Broadway. And then... do-wah-dee. What the hell's a do-wah-dee? And it's like Do-wah's Chinese restaurant or something. But the guy that... the singer... he wrote Build Me Up Buttercup and handbags and glad rags.
Really?
For other people, yeah.
Ah.
I've got to be honest. Build Me Up Buttercup is better than anything on here.
Well, this was a sort of change in direction for them, wasn't it?
Well, that's the thing. It's supposed to be. They're doing what they think they should be doing. They're being albumy, and they're doing lots of studio effects and that kind of thing. It's just incredibly meh. It's all right. It's fine. It is much more well crafted than the Yardbirds. But I was surprised how the effect is much the same. Well, whatever.
The question, I suppose, is: do you need that many songs on there? I think that might be a big problem.
The problem is it's not a very long album with 14 tracks. Wow. That's not very long because they're really short.
Oh yeah, I can't tell because I've got Spotify and it tells me 1 hour 18, but that's because it's got the mono version on there.
Yeah,
it's got alternative takes and stuff like that. So
And you know, Cubist town. You think, okay, that's going to be a bit 60s and pretentious, but maybe there'll be something good on it, kind of thing. And it starts with some cool piano and nice melody, and then by the end, it just sounds like Manfred Mann. Just goes back into the same thing. And I mean, none of this is really a criticism, is it? It's
because it's sort of like it's not. I don't think it's interesting enough to criticise.
Yeah. And it's not.
It doesn't.
It's very well crafted music. It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, which is all right, I suppose. If there was sort of like, if it was, I don't know, released with a manifesto saying we're changing music and this is our manifesto of change, then maybe you can try and judge it against those standards. But I mean, the standards are the Beatles.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, okay, we'll just do what they were doing. It'll be fine. That'll be good.
Okay, so let's compare them to Sgt. Pepper's. You know, one of the biggest selling, the biggest. Is it still the biggest selling in this country?
It's Queen Greatest Hits, I think.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, look, sold shed loads. You know, biggest selling album for a long time. Let's compare it to that. Oh, it's not as good as that.
Surprise! Oh. Maybe a lack of sincerity, and that they're thinking, "Oh, we might as well do this now." That's selling.
Yeah, maybe there is. I mean, there is a danger of that when you try and sort of, you know, be a little bit funny and a little bit off-handed. You can say, well, the purpose of this is humour, therefore it doesn't have to be as good.
Yeah.
No, the music still has to be good.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, you know, Happy Families, that it opens and it's like Lucille, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's all right. There's nothing else to say. I mean, yeah, there is literally nothing else to say. I mean, 68. Everyone's listening to Cream and Hendrix. That's the problem. There's that. At that point, a bit artificial separation of that's the pop and that's the rock had already happened in the space of a year. And you know, had they released that before Sgt. Pepper, maybe it would have been a hit.
It would be seen as the precursor to Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
The album that laid the groundwork for I'm Fixing a Hole.
And Good Morning. Those classic songs. Yeah, I've got nothing. Well, obviously the what's relevant and in terms of, you know, what we're trying to do in terms of where this went into prog and you know, all these bands that were playing R&B and blues and whatever, the Blues Invasion started playing other stuff, and obviously Manfred Mann, I didn't realise quite how. I thought it was just a different band. It's not. Manfred Mann's Earth Band, well, it is a different band, but it was actually, they were called Manfred Mann, and then in the US it was called Manfred Mann's Earth Band, and then that just became Manfred Mann's Earth Band, became a thing. And that's more relevant to our stuff, obviously. I mean, I had a look, and it turns out that their famous song wasn't until 76. So they were around. Manfred Mann's Earth Band was a thing, forming in 71, which is interesting. So I don't really know what they were doing. You know, were they proggy in 71? I don't know. Or were they still playing like R&B music, and then it became that, whatever it's called. Blinded by the light, crept up like a douchebag in the middle of the night. Oh, it's actually a Bruce Springsteen song. Yeah, so that they might have progged it up a bit. So perhaps they are a bit proggy. Yeah, Wikipedia says progressive rock. But
what, Manfred Mann's Earth Band?
Yeah, but we know everything is progressive rock. My favourite band is progressive rock.
Speaking of progressive rock, did you hear that Oasis might be reforming this year?
Is that true? Is that really?
I think so. I think Liam said, Noel said, this is our year.
You don't know if that's a joke, do you? That's the thing. I maintain they are really funny. and it is intentionally funny. I think particularly Noel. I think
Noel's funny, yeah. I mean, Noel's quite switched on, isn't he? And he's got a bit of he's got quite a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Liam
probably hasn't. Yeah.
That's funny for different reasons.
Okay. So they had hits with Do Wah Diddy and Mighty Quinn, and then moved into jazz fusion-inspired Manfred Mann Chapter 3 before forming the Earth Band in '71. Goodness me. Oh yeah, Klaus Vormann is the keyboard player. So at some point we should, I don't know, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check, because I don't know which albums or whether it's just nothing like what I think. So Manfred Mann's Earth Band will probably be a thing. And that they actually used to play at the Robin R&B Club. When I used to go there all the time, and I had the book of all the shows, they had concerts like every day almost.
Really?
And the real Manfred Mann's Earth Band would play there. I just never got around to seeing them. I mean, don't forget, Wikipedia probably says that Calling All Stations is progressive rock. I bet it does. Calling All Stations was released to mostly negative reviews from music critics, who chastised its lack of direction, but praised Wilson's performance. Okay. Hang on, I'm just going to do Calling All Stations. I've looked for the word progressive, and it is mentioned. There we go. Wilson compared the material as a mixture of the early progressive rock sound and the later more commercial period. There you go, it's his fault. But reception. Steve Nopper reviewed the album in the Chicago Tribune, calling it a formless blob of synth sounds. So yeah. Ray Wilson, no confidence or personality, let alone the vision to stave off his bandmates' meandering ideals. Yeah, there you go. Let's have a look at reviews of this then, of Mighty Garvey. I think this was a futile endeavour. These three albums. I think, if you do Manfred Mann, you do some of the earlier R&B stuff.
Yeah.
And you say how great the R&B is.
You need the
journey.
You need the journey, which is what we normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but I mean, maybe you need a bit more. Because I couldn't listen to that much of this crap. So
it's boring. Never mind. Let's have a look. There you go. Mighty Garvey feels as if the Manfreds aren't sure how to fill two whole sides. That's how it feels. There's not enough on there. So worthwhile goods, even though it feels slightly underdeveloped. There's a whole thing about the Vicar's daughter. Oh, they've reviewed every song, I think. Oh no, selection of songs, not everything. Okay, but no quotes, no succinct.
No one-liners.
Oh, a bizarre album, like a Monty Python sketch crossed by the Kinks' preservation sound via Beach Boys harmonies. That's a bit over the top. I mean, that sounds great. It's not like that. Individually, the tracks score patchily, as you'd guess. Yeah, there you go. It's a final roll of the dice, isn't it? That's what it is.
Well, didn't they do an album not long before for a film or something like that?
Yeah, previous one is was it Junction or something?
Up the Junction.
Which
was supposed to be quite good.
All right.
Maybe they just tried too much, too quickly.
Yeah. It's the last album because it just didn't sell that well. So that I think from what we've got it right in that there's a lack of sincerity, and they've added off, and
Yeah.
And if Manfred Mann, the man, Mr. Mann, what's his real name? Manfred Seps Lubowitz. If he's like a muso, he's going to be really bored by this point. He's going to be just nah. So that's what they did. They went off and played other stuff. Yeah. What we have to egg it. Is it
2 eggs?
2. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to give it 3 due to its competence.
Okay.
if it was sort of badly made, or there was like bad playing on it, that will get it down to 2. But it's very well crafted. They are hiding their apathy well, but it is there.
That's actually a good short line. Well crafted apathy.
Right, and that ends our 3-album waste of time.
Yeah, that didn't work very well, did it, Kev?
No, just albums that we can't review.
Yeah.
Never mind.